This is the first view. When you go in, this is the view you will have. Here is Mother Sannidhanam, Ganesha, Divine Mother, Kartikeya, and there are various other aspects of Mother would be here in these two sides. And the total Sannidhanams she has designed for us would be 33 of them. That's a huge number to have it in one place. And many of the aspect of hers is unusual aspect. And Mother said, this is Kali Yuga and these are dangerous time. And the world will go through various crises, and one we are facing right now, the COVID crisis, and that won't end that soon. It'll go on for a year, and there will be modification, much more than what one would anticipate with the simple virus. It will be very complex and very consequential. So she said, we need as many of my aspect to fight each asuric aspect which is causing this. This is an example. There are many other examples. There will be many other attacks. This is one attack right now we are facing, but there will be major in the cosmos, the meteorite attacks. So many attacks are in for us, but we will be protected because Divine Mother is giving us this wonderful temple with various Sannidhanams of her aspect, designed by her, energized by her, so they will have the ability to protect us from this onslaught in this Kali Yuga. This will go on for many years. Well, but these are all the various aspects. The main Sannidhanams, the main ones would be about 16 of them, and you go through them, and many of them are not well known. Can I have the first slide of Pratyankara Devi? Okay. This will be one Sannidhanam. All of them would be like that, but different. Different looks, different energy, but the deity will be in the center. They'll all look like this, but different. There'll be difference in the Sannidhanams. And they will be, the height measurements are there. You can get a rough idea how large each one would be. And the area would be about 24,000 square feet. It'll accommodate all 33 Sannidhanams. Initially, we had 7,000. Initial temple we had, just to give a comparison, that was 7,000 square feet. This would be about 24,000 square feet. And it'll accommodate various things, not only Sannidhanams, the kitchen aspect, various aspects of the temple would be there in that 24,000 square feet. Can I have the next slide, please? One of the Sannidhanam would be for Pratyankara. It's a very important happen. Between Pratyankara and Surani Durga, they will protect us from most of the Asuric attacks. And those of you who don't know the story of Pratyankara, Pratyankara Devi came in to protect the world after Hiranyakasipu was destroyed. The energy was so intense, his energy was so intense. And when Narasimha consumed him, he could not control that energy. He went out of control. So the whole universe was shaking. And various deities, including Shiva aspect and other aspect, Ganesha aspect, Kartikeya aspect, various divine energies came to calm him down, but they could not control it. Then Shiva Bhagavan himself, as Sarveshwara, tried to control him. He couldn't. He came as a bird-lion combination. He couldn't. Then Mother came herself in two aspects. One is Pratyankara Devi, other one is Surani Durga. And those two aspects are very intensely present in our temple from the beginning. They manifested and they engulfed him, Narasimha, and made him realize, you are the sustainer of the universe. You cannot go out of control. And this is logical. When you consume that mighty Asura's blood, all his poisons are there. His Asuric qualities are there. So I can imagine it will be logical for him to lose control, because this was an avatar of Mahavishnu. Because Mahavishnu is beyond that. But as an avatar, he was still under some amount of control. And that control made him unbelievably uncontrollable. And Pratyankara Devi and the Surni Durga aspect, these two energies came and pointed out to him, you are a sustainer and you have to control and then make the universe sustain. That is Pratyankara. Her Sannidhanam would be this size and this shape. It will be magnificent. Next slide, please. The Surni Durgas, that is Surni Durgas. Very similar to Pratyankara Sannidhanam, but there are slight differences. The measurements would be that. So these two aspects have each one as separate Sannidhanams, so you can worship them together or individually. And when we have, so the mind, the tranquility of the mind, all the negative thoughts, we have it often. So these two energies are the most intense energy. When you get, see, different levels of asuric activity, different levels of asuric energy, we go through them. Sometimes in a mild way, sometimes in a very severe way, we go through them. During those times, when we invoke Pratyankara Deva, our mantra, our bija is very powerful. For Pratyankara Devi, the Sham is a bija. So when I go through difficulties, I chant that mantra, Sham bija. And that's a very intense bija, and she will manifest and protect you. So these two would be the first two Sannidhanams you will see. And next, you can go. Okay, there's another Sannidhanam you will see, which we don't have a Sannidhanam now. Is Swarna Akarshana Kala Bhairava. The Bhairava aspect is very intense in our temple. Bhairava aspect would be the most intense aspect of Shiva Bhagavan. The mythology is when he was meditating, all the asuras were coming after him to disturb him, so he cannot perform his dissolution function. At that time, this energy was created by Shiva. He made that intense aspect of him and kept it next to him, and then he continued his meditation. And that is Bhairava. There are various aspects. Ashtabhairava, mainly 8. There are other aspects also, but main Bhairava would be this 8 Bhairavas. And Kala Bhairava is fundamental, because all the problems, all the actions start with time. There's no time, there's no activity, no action. Creation itself doesn't start. So time is very important. It starts with time. So the time aspect is controlled by this aspect. Control meaning when the asuric energy is overwhelming, the Bhairava, Kala Bhairava, this Kala Bhairava aspect would come and protect the world, protect the universe, and save it from the catastrophe these various energies would cause. Okay, Swarna Akarshana Kala Bhairava. We have that aspect in our temple. Every month we do them, so you should participate, particularly if you have any personal difficulties and bad period, astrologically bad period. If you have Kala Bhairava function, you should listen. Once a month we do them. Swarna Akarshana Kala Bhairava. There are various other type of Bhairavas, but that's the most important aspect. We invoke, we honor, and we receive. But these are the various aspects. Some of them you won't be, for instance, Garbha Rakshambika. That's a very, very powerful aspect of mother, and as the name implies, any pregnancy-related problems from the beginning to the end, she comes through. And I'll give you one example how I had a personal experience. This person, it's very strange. She happens to be a gynecologist. She was a professor downtown. She was a Muslim. She's not even a Hindu. But she had great faith in our mother. Our whole family They don't live in Michigan, they live in Arizona. So her mother called me up and he said, I told her before there will be some complication. So think of mother during the delivery time. And the mother called me up at around 10 o'clock. Very strange complication she developed. Very strange, unexpected. And I said, I will go to the temple and pray to that Garbharakshambika. So I came here around 11:30 and meditated. By 1 o'clock I got a call. That complication ended very nicely without any surgical intervention. Normally we would need surgical intervention to save the life of the mother and the child. But very sweetly, very smoothly, she took care of it. Now she is the one, that lady is the one who's sponsoring this. She wants to do that. So that Sannidhanam is sponsored by her. Any of you can participate. It's not like that belongs to her, but she wants to be the one who would, because as a way of thanking Savior. So that is the aspect of Garbha Rakshambika. And many other devotees benefited from her. So that aspect is a very important aspect, and we will have it, and that is the way she will be represented. Very, very important, particularly for pregnant. And she does many other things. It's not children alone. Very many things she does for a mother's body, mind. Because there's a very unusual situation where one soul carries another soul. It's really a very complex situation, because that soul will have a different planetary control, different action. So this one has to take care of that. And during the time, many things can go wrong, but it doesn't. Nature made it such a way, Divine Mother herself has taken care of it. But sometimes when the complication arises, it could lead to other surgery and things like that. But this lady benefited, and she is sponsoring that deity. Like I said, any of you, sponsoring is mental. You mentally tell yourself, I do this. In terms of physical sponsorship, you can talk to the priest, they will have certain amount you pay or so. I will leave it up to you and the priest. So Garbharakshambika is a very important aspect, and she will have her own Sannidhanam there. Next slide, please. Okay, Ashtanagas are very important. We never had them before. We had Naga Devatas outside, but Mother wants to be present here as Ashtanaga, because Nagas are very important. Mythology would say they went to Patala, they are staying there. No, they are here. Every minute they are in us. They exist in us as Kundalini energies. There are hundreds and thousands of them. 72,000 of them are very important. And three final aspects, Ida, Pingla and Sushumna, are the final aspect of the nadis. We call them nadis flow, Kundalini flow. This Naga energies activates them. They are in them. The Ashtanagas are 8 aspects of Nagas, and you see it here. Ananta, Kulika, Shankpa, various names are given to them. But they control the Kundalini energy and Kundalini flow. And that's why in our temples you'll always see Nagas. See on top of Mother, you see serpent. They're all connected to Kundalini energy. And they are the most important, because our subtle body is controlled by them. Our gross body is this. But Sushumna, subtle body, they control all the activities. And if we can have connection to them, if you are aware of them, if you do meditation, thinking of them, that would be very beneficial. So think of Ashtanagas and think of them. And we'll have a Sannidhanam, so you can never forget. Every time you come, you look at them and think of them being in us, blessing us, directing us, and leading us against millions of asuric activities who's present in the universe. We have to navigate. And for that reason, you need the grace of Nagas, the Kundalini grace. So develop the Kundalini and have the grace. So for that, Mother wanted that Sannidhanam to be there. Because normally it's very unusual aspect of Kundalini as Ashtanagas. I've never seen them anywhere, this representation. And ultimately, if you go to fundamental science itself, the DNA, the double helix, is a representation. So our rishis have figured out that is a fundamental particle, the DNA, and that's represented as double coiled helix, and they are given a mythological nature for that. But the energy is real. That physical aspect doesn't change the energy. The Kundalini energy, the prana, is the driving force. The gross body, that is temporary, that is food dependent, but subtle body is the most important because that is eternal. It stays forever and goes with us forever. This gross body we shed and we go. The subtle body. And the soul is Anandamaya. That is permanent. That is the only aspect of Mother we have in us, which is the Anandamaya, the soul aspect, the spark of divine in us. That is eternal. There was no beginning or the end. That's why this temple is called Eternal Mother Temple. And we are eternal being if we realize what drives us is the soul. The Sukshma Sarira is there, which we need to develop, and pranic aspect is there. The 5 kosha, final kosha is Anandamaya kosha. So the Kundalini energy supports all the activities of us, particularly during meditation. If you activate your Kundalini by many years, and if you don't do Kundalini meditation, just come and visit the Sannidhanam and think of her, think of the Ashtanagas, and they would protect us. And the knowledge about them would be instilled in us. That's between you and Mother. She would activate the Kundalini energy properly. So we'll have a separate Sannidhanam for her. Next slide, please. We have many Ammans, and one of them is Draupadi Amman. She's a goddess, you're all familiar with that. She's incarnation of Mariamman. Mariamman is a primal energy, and it's part of us, beginning, origin, she is there. And this is Mahamari, origin of all Mariam energy, Mahamari. When I went to Himalaya, there was a temple, ancient temple, they call that has been there in different yugas. But now the one I visited is in Kali Yuga. Somebody must have built it thousands of years ago. So that aspect. So this aspect gives us siddhis. If you're interested in obtaining certain special powers, thinking, reading, thought reading, one of it she has, one mantra she gave. With that mantra you can transport yourself wherever you are. You can mentally go to that place and do that particular, basically for religious purpose, for spiritual purposes. Wherever you want, whichever deity you want to worship, you can go to that temple, mentally transport yourself. This deity helps that. Next slide, please. So she has a special Sannidhanam. Next slide, Shiva. Okay, this is a very important aspect of Mother. Uchina Mahakali, very, very important aspect. The way she's one of the most important, or the most important, because in Chandi Homa you will see various asuras Divine Mother destroys. The hardest one was this, Ratrabhisha. Even Mahakali, Durga couldn't control him, because every drop of blood he sheds becomes one Ratrabhisha. So Durga and Mahakali saw, every time they slay, there will be millions of them waking up. So they were puzzled, what do they do? At that time, Durga Devi herself became this Uchinama. The symbolism of that is, she catches all the drops of blood. Every drop which came, she caught. She never let any drop go to the earth so that it won't become another Raktabhisha. Very powerful. To me, probably the mightiest asura. How do you destroy an energy which becomes millions every time a drop of blood is shed? Because you have to slay that. That symbolically means the blood has to fall. So she, as Mahakali Amman, Uchina Mahakali Amman, manifested, and while they were Durga Devi and Chandi, as we were destroying other asuras, she caught hold of every drop of Raktabhisha blood and did not let any drop touch the earth. So ultimately, he was slain. So she is very important. Now, why she is so important for us? Because every second, every minute, we go through the emotional turmoil in our mind. The mind is such, it never rests. You forget one aspect and go to other thought, that thought will go. So millions of thought processes will keep on coming at us unless you go into deep meditation. That's the only time we escape them. Otherwise, they control us. And this aspect protects us. She makes sure that they don't stay with us. But that aspect still exists. None of the aspects which they slayed was destroyed 100%. A small trip, 1/1,000,000th of that would be there. Because they are needed for our evolution. So for that reason, a small aspect of people wonder why Mother created asuras. It's very essential. Without asuras, there are no devas. Without asuras and devas, there's no purpose for us. Where do we act out? How do we evolve? We have to act the drama. So we need both polarities, Asuric and Devi. So they are very important. So she is a mother of both. And we, by our reverence, make her protect us against the Asuric energy. So that is a very important aspect. So she will have her own Sannidhanam. So you cannot forget that aspect. Every time you come to the temple, you go there, particularly when you have various problems. All of us have so many problems. Think of her during that time, or any time you think of her, she will manifest and protect us. So there will be a magnificent Sannidhanam. Uchina Mahakali Amman. Next slide. This is another aspect of Mother. Pechi is speech. Speech is most important. The society develops, the civilization develops by speech. The communication is very important. If you have any problem with that level, then you cannot communicate. So the organisms cannot develop. So Pechi, the speech, but the speech we are familiar with is high-level speech, Mahasaraswati level, highest level. But in the rudimentary level itself, some children develop problem with speech-related problem. So for them, coming and praying to her would be very worthy. That will heal them, that will help them, because speech is very important. Pechi Amman. But again, Amman is mother, Pechi is one aspect of that. And in some places in South, the temple of Pechi Amman is very famous. So we will have one Sannidhanams for her. Next slide, please. Isaki Amman, she's a very important one. Isaki Amman is actually Icha Shakti. Icha Shakti, the term changed it to Isaki Amman. Icha Shakti is the most important. Without Icha Shakti, there is no purpose of living and there is no chance of evolution to higher level. So Icha Shakti is very important. That is Isaki Amman. Isaki Amman. They call the Layaki in those places where the temple is there, goddess of benevolence, Icha Shakti. She's the most important, really, because without Icha, what is the purpose? Anything, any relationship between the mother and children, anything, Icha Shakti is most important. And Isaki Amman represents that Shakti and potentiates that Shakti in us so that we could use it most effectively. Isaki Amman. When in times of difficulty, in times of illness, major problems, you go and worship her. And there are few temples in South, but our temple, she would manifest herself with her own Sannidhanams as Isaki Amman, Icha Shakti. She'll look magnificent, that Sannidhanam. Next slide, please. Saptakanya is very important, the 7 mothers, and we'll have one Sannidhanam for all the Saptakanyas. And they are, as you know, is very close to us, and they're protective aspect of mother in a different forms of mothers, 7 mothers, Saptamatrika, Saptakanyas, Saptamatrika. They're very important. They're very important in a temple. Saptamatrikas are very important. You should think of them when you come. You look at them with reverence, affection, love, and each aspect of Saptakanya, they will protect us. They're all Parihara Devatas, but essentially we have only one divine, that's Mahamai, Adiparashakti. She manifests into various aspects, trillion aspects, billions and billions and trillions of aspects. And these 7 mothers are very important. And most temples will have, ancient temples, old temples will have. And our temple, we missed it. But I always felt them. When I come, I think of them. Essentially, you think it's all mental. You create them by your affection, by your love, by your reverence, by your knowledge. Which aspect represents what? You have to have that. But here, when you come, you think of them and she grants them to us. But you need something to think of. Otherwise, you'll forget that aspect. You have so many other aspects. So by giving us this Sannidhanam, she makes sure that we think of them because we are looking at them. So we'll naturally think of them. And any devotees, when they come, they'll think of Saptamatrika, Saptakani. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is a very important aspect. Bhairava aspect is a very powerful, very important. Bhairava means fear-instilling aspect of Shiva. Biru means fearsome form. And there are many various aspects of that. The dog is considered as a vehicle for various reasons. And so we will have a separate Sannidhanam for Bhairava. Next slide, please. Okay, these aspects, Lord Bhutanatha, these are all guardian angels. They are all called Rama Devatas. Around our Drishtipidam, Mother wanted 16 aspects to be there, and we place any form, their form, so people can think of them when they go. And one of them is Bhutanatha, the guardian angel. And these are very important because we have day-to-day problems. And during that period, these energies of Mother is closer to us. See, Mother is trillion times vibration compared to us. But this ones will be lesser, but still be millions and millions times our vibration. But these are all not ordinary beings. They're supersensual beings of Mother, which comes down, slows down a little bit so that we can relate them. And again, this is all against various negative forces, drishti, various drishtis. These energies help us, protect us. So Bhutanatha is one of them. And he's represented. We represent them like this. Basically what it means is, it is fearsome to the asuras. It's fearsome to the negative forces, not fearsome to us. But they are represented like that. Okay, next slide, please. Karupaswamy is a very, very important devatas, Grama devatas, but they're very close to us, and many of you would have him as the family deity. And again, when you go through major difficulty in life, this aspect, if you think of them, worship them, and show their reverence, love, and affection, they can come and help us. At least we have them. Mother has them. It's for you to invoke them. But if she doesn't have them, you won't think of them. You won't invoke them. By having them here, symbolically represented by various Sannidhanam, you can go there and worship him. And that would be naturally more effective than you think in an abstract fashion. See, our whole religious belief is we need to see symbols. It's all totally symbolic. And psychologically, an abstract form is very difficult to visualize, create, and relate to that form. So Hinduism based on all this symbol, knowing they all come from one, which is a pure, undivided consciousness, which was the only thing present in the beginning, which wanted to experience us. How does she experience us? She was the only one. So creates trillion forms, trillion galaxies, trillion solar systems, as a stage for these beings to manifest and think of her, and have a chance for them to come back to the origin, going back to the origin of us. When I say us, I'm referring to human, but any form, any life form is a cosmic energy. And there are trillions of them in various galaxies, in various places. But ultimately, it's all one. That energy, the pure consciousness is one. But that becomes so many, and then out of love, she gives us a form and a name, and she writes our story. Can you imagine? That's why next visit, yatra I do on your behalf, would be to Gauri Kund. Gauri Kund probably is a spot when a meteorite probably came and hit Earth and created that intense energy. And that part became a lake, and that's called Gauri Kund. And Mother went there when she decided to create. She separated into Shiva Shakti, and she told Shiva, you go to Kailash and do your function. I'll go to Gauri Kund and do my function. And that function must have taken millions and millions of years, in human years. I don't know how many million, but it would have taken a long time. You can imagine there are so many trillions and trillions of organisms. To know them, to create them, and write the story of them so they can perform. So she is a writer and a producer and a director. So she went to that place and created. She does the creation. And that must have taken enormous time. Time in that level, we cannot relate to it. 1 minute there would be millions of years of our time. Because our time is determined by the planets, planetary movement, planetary location. So she did that. In the process, she created various aspects of her. And Karupaswamy, only people from South would be familiar with that. Some of you, Ishta Devata may be that, or you may not know. Your predecessor, great-grandfather might know. But it's very, very effective, very, very energetic, very intense aspect of Mother as Karupaswamy. Next slide, please. Munishvara is very important. Munishvara, I think most of you probably are aware. Munishvara aspect is a very protective aspect. In terms of major turmoil in one's life, you think of Munishvara and invoke him. He's Shiva aspect. Munishvara, very intense aspect, and he is represented this way. And his fear-raising form against asuras. So it shows that these are my children and I am in them. do not attack them. If you attack them, you have to contend with me. So for asuras, they are like that. For us, they are very sweet, Santa Sarubini. But when we worship, we think of them. Because when you're fighting or contending with asura, you need asuric type of weapon. And this aspect is that. So Munishvara aspect is a very important aspect. Again, in times of normalcy, you don't think of them. In times of major catastrophe, major bad things happening in the family, all those times, you think of Munishvara. But to provide him here in our house is very auspicious, very thoughtful, very personal, very intense, and she has provided that aspect. All this defensive energy are very important, and you won't think of them unless it is in the temple. And in our house, you think of them, and they will be very, very active, and they will do what you ask them, the protective function they will perform when they are thought of in the environment of mother, because that's mother's house. Essentially, she is building the house and she is giving it to the world. Not just for us. This is for the world, because she knows these are Asuric times. This is Kali Yuga. For the next 300,000 years. According to mythology, Kali Yuga would end and world would end, Pralaya would come, the final Yuga. What is left probably is 300,000-400,000 years, at the end of which everything become back to her, back to the pure consciousness. And then the creation, after a period of time, she will recreate and the creation would stop. So she is eternal. The cycle would go on and on and on. There's no end of it. And there's no beginning either. No one knows. She was there all the time, and she is Parabrahman, pure divine consciousness, which out of love wanted to see us perform, give us a stage and a story and a script to perform. And the script we created. Once you start that spark, and the spark started it, the karma would start. Depending on what level and what we did, that story would become complex and go on. And that will go on forever. Unless we follow Krishna Bhagavan's advice, say, don't take any of it on yourself. Just do it as if you, but do it very efficiently. Do it most intensely, most efficiently, and most sincerely. But don't worry about the consequences. At the minute you start thinking of the consequences, the karma would start. So do it as the best you can, and different levels of us would do different level. But do it with the thought that you're doing it for divine, to Krishna's name. And he would know how you should do it. In other words, how to get the benefit. He knows the best for us. So do it honestly. It's not easy, it's very difficult. Because you have your own mind. And millions of thoughts, all the asuras, that's what they do. They keep us thinking and thinking and thinking. And keep us with the ignorance that we are separate beings and we have our own script to play. But we don't. We just act out what she wished. And the wish has become our karma. So we perform. So depending on our development, ultimately it goes back to love. The cause of creation is extreme love of divine towards humanity. And going back would be the same thing too. You show her extreme love, affection, and reverence. And one way of doing it is, that's what she said, you can do any charities, dana. Dana, you can do any dana. They're all good. But dana which is dear to me, which I would advise you to do, is to help the soul. Because that is only part of me, which is reality. Anything else, all other koshas are temporary. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manamaya kosha, all of them are temporary. Only thing which is real, which is always exists, is that aspect of me. So you do something to help that aspect. What can I do to you to help that aspect? To introduce you to her. That's all I can do. And it's between you and her. The relationship would start and develop. and you would perform based on your karma, even that is affected by your past karma. But here, she would give you the best advice. That's why the best advice among all the things she has given me is a card game. She said, life is a card game. And you dealt the cards. At the time of birth, you've given yourself the cards. How you play the cards are important, and I will teach you. Same card, I'll teach you how to use. And those of you who have known card game, same card, you will do much better than I can do. And that knowledge comes from her. And that is the gift that is called grace, anugraha. She would give you that, how to play that card. And that determines your karma. So that is the biggest gift she can give you. So she explained to me, life is like a card game. You dealt the card. You dealt the card. She didn't deal the card. We dealt the card. But she gives the ability through various knowledge. Take, for instance, Pratyankara. At the time of major crisis in your life, you invoke her by Sham Bija, and other aspects of her are coming to the temple like this and worshipping her. She manifests in you. The Sham aspect of her manifests in you, and that helps mitigate the major asuric energy which is causing whatever problem you have. So it's very logical. It's nothing to imagine. That energy would give you ability. Once it wakes up, so you have to wake up that energy. Ultimately, it's all Mother. So you come here and show our love to her, our reverence. She said that would be the best thing you can do. Anything else is good. You help them with their life, the mind, the body, illness, whatever a person needs, yes, you can do it. But the most effective one, as far as I'm concerned, is wake up my aspect in that person and do whatever you can in that area. The only thing we can do is to start an organization, a temple, and explain to them who they are, why they are here, where they're trying to go, and all the fundamental concepts which our Vedas, Upanishads teach us repeatedly. But make it happen. But you need to have that gold mine. You can imagine, you can abstract, think of the gold mine, but having actually a gold mine given to you, that is different because you're seeing it. And she's built it. Now she's building the most fascinating aspects of her in so many Sannidhanam. All this shows she's extremely kind and very deeply connected with humanity. Whoever, like I said, this lady who's sponsoring that one, she's not even a Hindu, she's a Muslim. So there's no religion. Connect to the divine in any way you can. Christian, Muslim, Hindu, doesn't matter. But understand the origin and understand love, understand reverence, understand bhakti, and use all that to connect to her. But you need a place which actually this place, there's a lot of sacrifices involved from the beginning. In the past 30 years, many people have sacrificed many things in this temple. I don't want to call it sacrifice because that is our earning. But if we don't have this, we would not have heard. Like Mr. Patnaik, when we had some crisis a year ago, we needed certain work to be done, and he appears all of a sudden, he takes over and he does that. That privilege is given to him. So I'm amazed how in the right time that person comes and does things what we need. And then he steps out, somebody else moves in. Ultimately, whatever we need, that privilege is given to the person. Now, who is the beneficiary? Is that person the beneficiary or she is a beneficiary? Obviously, it's that person to whom that privilege is given. And we are given this privilege to participate in this construction, to understand from the beginning. And there are so many temples people build, but this is very unique. It made us give up many things, and those are all called sacrifices. To me, that word is really a wrong word. Sacrifice means something I gave up. What did we give up? We gained. Nothing we gave up. Short-term investment. This is a long-term investment. It goes with us forever. Anything else is a short-term investment. You'll have it for your lifetime, and once the life is over, that investment is gone. But during that time, you make long-term investment. Even simple charity, kindness, anything, that stays for you. That's a real investment. But doing to a temple, and this kind of, I call it live temple, where she plans everything, that's huge benefit. I cannot begin to explain the privilege we are given and the kindness we are given. It's huge, unbelievably magnificent. That means you have earned it in past 100,000 lifetime maybe, or more. And the result is you will come and you will receive her and she will connect to you. And that is a huge benefit. So Munishwara aspect is very, very, very important. At the time of turmoil, think of Munishwara. Next slide, please. Ayyanar is another aspect of it. These are all, they'll call it as a Grama Devata. It's not insulting term. Grama Devata means they're closer to us. She is trillion times vibratory. Kindness, she'll come and we invoke. But these energies are closer to us. And they're like more like a family. But again, I say our vibration, it's all vibratory. I'm 10,000, you are 10,000. And Ayana would be trillion. And she would be many, many trillions. The separation is huge. But even the fact we know, we think of Ayyanar, we worship him. And this is a mythological story about the origin of Ayyanar. It's a combination of Mohini and other aspect. He's a guardian angel. All of them around our Shakti Piram are guardian deities. Don't you think that would be the most important thing? In my house, I would rather have a policeman standing in front if I live in a bad neighborhood than the fact that I know the president. The president is not there in the house and the thief would not know I'm connected. But if he sees a policeman at the entrance, he would walk away. There are other houses he can go and steal. He won't contend with this. They are like this. They are very visible, very close, very near and very dear, and they'll connect to you if you approach them in the right place at the right time. This is the right place because it's mother's house and she designs. So that's a big difference. Next slide, please. Surya Modern is another guardian angel. Yeah, modern means protector. Surya Modern is one of them. See how they are represented? The ancients made this for asuras. Asuric energy would perceive this as this. Fear instilling, same thing with Mahakali. Fear instilling aspect, but they are the kindest one for us. For people who are good, who appeal to devas, they appear in a soft, smooth, sweet way. But for Asuric energies, they are represented this way. So they will see a policeman standing in front and walk away from your house, go to the next house. There are many houses for them to act on, million and trillion houses, but they won't bother you. So that's the concept. And the ancients made this form based on that thing. And mother, all this are mother's idea. I didn't think of any of that. I won't even be knowledgeable of any of them. But she wanted it. That means some of you or one of you needed them. Because everyone who comes here would get what they want, protection, what they want. So she has to provide all of them. And you, depending on your need, your karma, and your belief system, you take that energy. But they are here. You can consume them. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is a very, very powerful, very important aspect. There's a famous temple. Mother asked me to go there and do a ritual for all of you. I did. Very sweet form. She's a very unusual form. She's laying down. She lies down. Big, must be about 15, 14 feet length. She's laying down. And that is Masana Kali. The symbolism is the only reality, only thing which will happen for sure is death. There's one thing you cannot. There's the only thing which is real. Anything else is temporary. Death is for sure. Anytime you're born, you will die. And at the time of death, she comes, because when you die, that spirit has to go through very major difficulty. He has to pass a river of death. I mean, it's very complex. I won't go into it, but it's very difficult, very painful, very horrible. At that time, she will be the kindest one to accompany you. Masana Kali. Masana means a cremation ground. At the time of transition, you think of Masana Kali, you invoke her, you invoke Mother, she's Masana Kali. But that temple is like this. And I went and did the Parigaram, and it was wonderful. I mean, she's so sweet, so calming to be there. It's a big temple too. There will be lots of people, there will be 1,000 people in the temple. I don't remember exactly where it is. It's somewhere close to Kumbakonam, Trichy area. Do you know that? Exactly. It's a city where Masana Kali. Very, very big temple. Must be about 10 acres, that whole area. And she looks so magnificent, laying down. That's again a symbolic. At the time of transition, she will come with you. Because your shell would be gone, and you really don't care for that. But your soul, or the subtle body, goes through this river of death. And all the religions believe in that. Egyptians have book of death. Tibetans have a book of death where this complex. In our thing, Garuda Bhagavan asks Mahavishnu all the secrets. What happens to me after I die? And she said, and Nachiketa asked Yama, would be the authority. Yama is god of death. So he asked Yama, what I have to do, why, what the purpose, and what happens to me. And that one answer you would not give, Yama Dharma Raja would not give it to Nachiketa. He said, ask me anything, emperors, whatever. He said, what would I need all those for? I want to know reality. I want to know what happened so I can communicate to others. And he became very famous Maharishi, Nachiketa Maharishi. When he was 6 years old, he goes to Yamaloka and asks Yama the secret of death, what happens to death. And very nicely Yama describes, very beautifully, all the deep philosophy of at the time of death, what you should think of, what will happen to you, and how you create your next life. All those beautiful concepts he taught. Yama himself taught Nachiketa. And that's what Katha Upanishad. Katha Upanishad is that story. Very beautiful story. So think of Masana Kali. Very kind, most helpful, and most useful, because we all are going to need, right? No one say we don't need that. We will reach. There's only certainty in life is death. And we should be thinking about it. We don't. At the time of death we think. But before that we don't think of Yama. Yama would be the most efficient, most useful to us to think of him and do what all we need to do before we get to the stage when Chitragupta would start reading our story, what all we did, what all we didn't do, all the account. Chitragupta would read to Yama, and Yama would let you make a decision how you want your next life be, what's the script you want to write for your next life, so you can correct all the mistakes. It's a very fair system. Nothing is imposed on you. It's very fair. Whatever you did, it'll be there. And you, I and you, we will decide what is the story of my life should be, so that I can grow up. Grow up. That's the key word. I can grow up. To grow up, you need to know the story. And we won't, because Maya would cover it. Once you come back, that part is gone. So you have to do it before. Before you pass out, you have to do all the nicest things and carry all the information. And the best thing is to be connected to Mother, where she is so personal. She even builds a temple. Can you imagine? We build temple for her. She doesn't build temple for us. Here she does. Because she planned it, she designed it, and we'll do it in the next year and a half. We'll have Mother Sannidhanam ready by September. By next Navarathiri, which starts on October 6th, I believe, we want to have Mother, Ganesha, and Kartikeya Sannidhanam. As a Sannidhanam, we want to have it completed by August, end of August, September. We are really, we are getting 2 more Shilpi. So we'll do our best, and Mother's wish, if she wishes, she'll grant us that Sannidhanam. So Navaratri time, we should have it. And I think she will. She does so many, she'll do that too. So think of Masana Kauli, beautiful aspect of Mother. At the time of death, so convenient. Think of her, and she will let you walk through the river of death with all the. It's supposed to be horrible to cross that physically, but she would walk you through that and take you to the other side, and then Yama would ask you, "What's your story now? What story you want to write for the next time?" And you tell Yama. Because in that form, you're pure spirit, purity. There's nothing, no lying or no self-deception, nothing. You will write whatever is there, and you will act out that part in the next life. Next slide, please. Yeah, Veerabhadra is a very intense aspect. He is an agent for Shiva. These are all ganas, Shiva ganas. But energetically, thinking of these aspects is very good at the time of difficulty, because Shiva, Bhagavan used them. At the time of when he had some problem, these are the energies, which is Shiva energy, but manifesting as Veerabhadra, very intense aspect of Shiva to destroy the evil. The Daksha Yajna, you all know about that. And that time he came and destroyed the evil which was conducting that Homa where Shiva Bhagavan was insulted by Daksha. So think of that aspect at the time of difficulty and trouble, either for you or your family or for your city or for the country, whatever these energies would help. Yeah, Vanadurgas are very important. You should think of them all the time. Because the first deity I had connection was Vanadurga. We did a Homa, we did it on that side. That's the only Homa we did on that side. And that time she manifested. That's about 25 years ago. And there are various aspects of her. She's very powerful, Vanadurga. There are many Durgas. Vanadurga is very important. Vana technically means forest, origin, primordial, space, energy. So Vana Durga. And in this temple, she's very actively present. Every time I come to the temple, I do 3 things. I think of her, and then I think of Dvajastambham, Balipedam, and Simhavahanam. I think in my mind, but we will really have it done. Hopefully in the next 6 months, there will be a magnificent Dvajastambham, Balipedam, and Simhavahanam. All are very symbolic. Dvajastambham is Kundalini. So when you see them, you think of your Kundalini and activate it. And Balipedam, you sacrifice your this impediment, the mind-body complex impediment. You sacrifice that and come into the temple as a spirit form, as your Atman. So that's the symbolism of Dvajastambham, Balipedam, and Simhavahanam. And so I think of that, and then I think of Durga as Vanadurga, because she was there in the beginning. And strangely, that day, there are few people who attended. It's a very private ceremony. Dr. Keski was there, and her husband, Dr. Shah, was there. There's another psychiatrist, forgot her name, an American psychiatrist. Do you remember her name? Brewster, Dr. Brewster. She was there, and Dr. Peter D. Ritter was there, and A.N.K. Swami conducted Homa. It was completed by noon. Clear blue sky. Sun was intense at the time. So we finished, we came back. Then I saw this huge, they look like big rocks, big, huge. They were coming at us, and I thought, there can't be snow because there's a pure blue sky. And it was June, July time frame. But they're coming at us, and I thought, God, it's going to hurt us. So as soon as they touched us, it became soft like snow. Soft snow. So that's the symbolic of our grace. But when I saw that, it was huge, big rocks. And I thought it was going to hurt us and hurt the cars, and all the things were there in my mind. But at the minute it touched us, it became soft and very tender. That was many miracles like that has happened, but that was one of them. So she is very dear to me, and she should be dear to you. So think of her, and particularly when evil eyes and black magic, do they exist? Are they real? I know they are real, because every thought process has power, but they're very weak. Like if I don't like him and think of him with anger, I can't hurt him, but there will be some damage, but he won't even feel it, because my thought process is not that intense to cause him hurt. It will cause him hurt, but he won't know that. It will be very minor hurt, but it is there. Every thought, every emotion has energy in it. But how intense it is depends on me. If I'm a Siddha and I have anger against him, I can create the energy to hurt him. Ordinary people, we don't have that much of intensity, and also we don't really dislike somebody that much to hurt them. But they exist, those forms do exist. Vanadurga aspect protects us. Particularly a place like this, there are so many cosmic aspects. We need that kind of protection from Vanadurga. So it's very appropriate. She was the first one who manifested. Who else could protect us? But these are all cosmic energy. There is no tangible form. We heard about them, we think about them, but we don't see them. But they exist. And logically, any emotion has to have a presence. And like science says, nothing can either be created or destroyed. Everything has a purpose, has a form, and a name. We just don't know them. But they exist. And when they exist, and your planetary position is vulnerable time, if it's not vulnerable, if my planet is stable that time, I will escape. But if I am in a weak position, planetary-wise, that means I use the word vulnerability, and that time those energies can hurt you. In many ways. You won't even know how they hurt you, but they will hurt you. Vanadurga aspect protects against all of them. So kindly, she was the one which came first in this place. There are various types of them. So we will have now, for the first time, we will have a Sannidhanam for her. So you can show your love, your affection, your reverence, and consume the protection, which she has been giving anyway. But you'll get more of it because you are aware now. So you develop a relationship with her. It's always beautiful when you know that person you interact with. Then take it by pure faith. This is more than faith. This really happened. That really exists. Now she will give them this Sannidhanam where Vanadurga will manifest. And Mr. Kannan will get the privilege of doing the archana for her on our behalf soon. Next slide, please. These are all new shrine with various aspects, 33 of them. Agastya you should think of. Agastya Lobhamudra is another one you should think of all the time, because they are very kind, very generous, very effective. They are always here in our temple, Agastya and Lobhamudra. So I invoke them every day in my prayogam. They are very active. All of them are active, but this Maharishi particularly is very very useful, very helpful to us. Jagannath Sannidhanam, he decided that will be magnificent. You have not seen it, I couldn't show it to you. So those 33 Sannidhanam will be very unique. And no place else has it. When it's completed, you will see what she is going to give us is something magnificent, something is unbelievable, something is so much kindness, so much personality. And we are very blessed. We are very blessed. We are very privileged. You won't understand it now. As time goes on, you'll see the significance of what she has done for humanity. Because I don't take it for myself. When I take it, when I do my prayogam, when I go to Tirthayatra, I think of all of you, our devotees, but the world, any life forms, I think of them. So whatever I receive, please give it to them too, to the world. But we, being here, are particularly chosen by your past deeds and your wish. You must have wanted it this way, and you are granted. So this is something unbelievable. Many Siddhas I meet in Himalayas and certain holy places, they all know about our temple. They say, you people are the most blessed, because they know about our temple, what she is doing for our temple. And they are very touched. Who are these people who earned it, who earned the right to be part of this journey in this place? So we are the blessed and privileged ones. So enjoy the journey. Each one of us will have a different time frame, but enjoy the journey, because this is something is unbelievable. You should be aware of it, and I hope by all these activities, Mother has touched you, and she has touched you. All of you are touched by Mother to different level. And as time goes on, she'll touch you deeper and deeper. Like I said in the first slide, this place is Devaloka. It is leading to Devaloka. From human, the first slide, you see that? It says there in the bottom, human to divine, that's what she says. This is a pathway to Devaloka. This is human. After you are done with me and my cosmic aspects, all the devatas, they would take you to that world, and we will go to that world. When, I don't know. Depends on our evolution. But when you go to that world, you will be familiar, because you already felt them. You're already here. You're not new. That Columbus, when he visited America, is new. Whereas we have been here. These Yakshinis, these Mohinis, these Vidyadharas, these Gandharvas, they're all intensely present here. Whether you are aware or not, they are here. Some of you are aware. So when your time comes and when you go to that different world, which may take a huge number of years, I don't know, it won't be new world to you. It would be continuation of this world. Thank you.